Ukraine just blunted the largest attack in the war, the largest overnight drone attack. And I know I've said the largest drone attack in the war 3 or 4 times in the last 3 weeks, but these have all been the largest and then the largest and then and this was the largest by a long shot. So let's look at what happened here and how Ukraine has been able to blunt these attacks is really interesting as well. So here's what the map looked like last night as these drones were just descending from all over Russia and occupied territories of Ukraine. And there were 741. That's off the charts. Like the last one was like 550. And that's just crazy. Okay, so there's a new grim record, 728 shot heads in a single night. And that's on top of cruise and ballistic missiles. Okay, so 728 drones of various types, 13 missiles, 718 of the 741 incoming targets were intercepted by Ukraine. That's absolutely nuts. I mean, let's look at this again. 711 out of 728, 7 out of 7 cruise missiles were shot down, but none of the ballistic missiles were shot down. And they've just had a terrible time getting the ballistic missiles shot down. Those are really, really tough. So about 20 drones and 6 cruise missiles did most of the damage. Now, some of these of the 711 shot down or deflected would still do some damage somewhere, but it's not like hitting normal targets. Okay, but that's a 96.8% rate. Like I mean, when I say it was blunted, it was blunted. Doesn't mean there wasn't damage. There's going to be a lot of damage. I'll show you the damage. But imagine if all of this got through when you see the damage, right? 97%, let's round up the 0.8 up to 97% knockdown rate. That's crazy. Like Ukraine's getting much better at being able to blunt this, which is important because the Russians are are producing at a much larger rate. And I'll show you what that means in just a moment. Large-scale Russian aerial attack on Ukraine ongoing. This is what I saw last night about dinner time. 104 Iranian Shahed drones are ready to attack sleeping civilians. I thought, okay, well, that's about normal. And then I saw this a little bit later. I was checking the news before I was going to sleep. 220 Russian Iranian kamikaze drones, and I'm thinking like, it's a little heavy, but that's good. It's not a huge attack. And saw this, Russia continues to mercilessly attack peaceful Ukrainian civilians. And this was just before I went to sleep. I'm thinking, how many more are there? And then we see this. Russia's tactics now often focus on one primary target, like Lutsk last night, with hundreds of drones and missiles launched simultaneously while others strike multiple regions en route. Okay, so there you can see the patterns are like kind of squirrely, but they're all going toward, or most of these are going toward one major city, and that's Lutsk. Now, where's Lutsk on the map? See out here, it's Lviv's out here. Lutsk, it's on the western side, kind of closer to Poland. Okay, that's where Anna from Ukraine is from, if I'm not mistaken. So correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm going to be looking to see what Anna has to say about this as well. I'm sure there's lots of damage. I can see some video of the damage as well. But again, it was blunted. It wasn't nearly as bad as it could have been. Russia launched a massive new attack on Ukrainian cities, the largest number of aerial targets in a single day, 741 in total. Most were shot down. Ukrainian interceptor drones and mobile fire teams took down dozens, with interception tech now being scaled up. Those interceptor drones are working freaking miracles. Like that. This is why they've been able to blunt it. And like, it couldn't come sooner, or couldn't come fast enough. Like if it was later, and Russia's going to be to a place where they're going to, it's not a 741, right? Russia's going to be to a place where within a month or two, they're going to be to 1,000 in a night if things stay on the trends that we see. Okay, if there's to be peace, it can only be had by deterrence, not rewards, real sanctions on the core of Russia's war machine, on oil, on those who still buy it. Every barrel funds more attacks. Every barrel funds this global axis that aims to destroy not only Ukraine, but the democratic world. I think that's a fair statement. Now let's look at Russian air and drone strikes on Ukraine. The orange line is the drone strikes, and you see it keep going up. Like here is December, and then January, February, March, April, May, and this is only June 1st to 27th. So there's a couple more days at the end of June. So this might be about where it was, or maybe even a little bit further. And then the blue line are the deaths related to this. It keeps increasing. It's going up. And then if we look at this monthly drone launches, you see like it really kind of spiked in November, then went down, and then it's just been going up and up and up ever since. And if we just look a little bit further with last night's attack, July has already seen July right now. We're in 9 July today as I'm talking. 2,119 drones launched over the first 9 days. June saw 1,994 over the same period. If this continues, Ukraine is in for another record-breaking month of drone launches, like from Russia. Like this, it's bad. This is the trajectory of where we're going. I keep telling you that drones are wildly important. Now, how are they creating these so fast? With China's help, Moscow claims it has tripled its drone production as monthly drone attacks on Ukraine nearly doubled in June. Yeah, I think that's fair. Here it is in the Kyiv Post. Ukraine's main military intelligence directorate reported to Radio Sabotaged this week that 60 to 65% of the components in Russian-produced Gerdes-type drones, the Russian analog of the Iranian Shahed drone, are of Chinese origin. So it's not like they're not getting that kind of help from China, even if indirectly by, dual-use parts, that sort of thing. A Russian company in Khabarovsk, with the help of Chinese firms, plan to produce up to 10,000 drones per month this year. Okay, well, what will that mean when they're actually able to do this? If this was just a total number, that would mean that they can produce 333 a day. 10,000 divided by 30, 333 per day. Yeah, that's assuming that's the whole. Like it could be produced more in other places. Okay, so that's why I'm saying it's not unlikely that we're going to see 1,000 strikes in a given evening. Okay, Ukraine won't say this, but American tech investors will. Most of NATO's drones are worthless in Ukraine because they can't keep up with the development speed. I think that's also very fair. Like we're falling behind Ukraine because necessity is the mother of invention, and Ukraine is learning the lessons very quickly. Here's Timothy Milovanov talking about how Ukraine outperforms U.S. in speed, cost, and scale of drone production. It builds 200,000 drones a month, up from 20,000 just a year ago. And it costs less. And yeah, let's look at this. Ukrainian drone revolution began in 2023 after its counteroffensive exposed the limits of armor. Ukrainian drone firms integrate frontline feedback within 24 to 72 hours. Pilots report issues via secure chat. Engineers adjust software or hardware in real time. In one case, software to counter jamming was patched within 48 hours of field use. That's crazy fast. In contrast, U.S. drones like the Switchblade 600 are built through multi-year contracts with fixed specs. Like they were awesome early on, but then they were able to be countered. Ukrainian producers skip long procurement cycles. Designs are updated weekly, not annually. Ukrainian operators report that U.S. supply drones are less resistant to Russian jamming. That means they can be jammed more efficiently by the Russians. In multiple cases, Ukrainian FPVs completed missions where U.S. drones lost signal or failed mid-flight. So their drone production is just off the charts, efficient and agile. Okay, I keep talking about this. Drones are evolving. I posted this video just a day or two ago. The evolution of drones, you got to see this if you want to understand where drones are going. And I'm saying it because I saw the views were really low, and this was like really useful. So I won't pitch it again. I'm not trying to twist your arm, but I am kind of trying to twist your arm. This is really important. Okay. Ukrainian drones paid a visit to Moscow today. So the Ukrainians are hitting back. This is in Moscow. I'm not sure exactly what was being hit. Here's a warehouse in a different place in Rostov, reported 1 month worth of supply. Look at this little dinosaur guy. I'm showing you that because this video is kind of cool only because it looks like the dinosaur is having some kind of effect on the background there. But there's a warehouse reported with 1 month worth of supply of drones blew up in Rostov region. And the massive warehouse fire in Rostov raged for 24 hours, filled the city with thick black smoke. It wasn't until the morning of July 9th that firefighters fully extinguished a major warehouse blaze in Rostov-on-Don. For an entire day, the city was engulfed in dense black smoke, residents unwillingly breathing it in. The blaze broke out on Kyiv Street and quickly spread over 1,500 square meters, consuming the warehouse and an adjacent office building, according to local emergency services. Initially, the fire covered about 2,200 meters. So 2,200 to 1,500, that's quite a significant jump. But due to the dense storage inside, it spiraled out of control within hours. What exactly was burning remains unclear. Officially, the site was used to store household appliances, but many locals are skeptical of that explanation. And again, other reports say that it was actually drones inside. Okay, so Ukraine's deep strike drone attacks in June reached 115 missions. Like, they've been hitting at Russia in a significant way over the last month. Let's look at the battlefield very quickly. 1,050 Russians off the battlefield, 5 tanks, 2 armored fighting vehicles, 68 artillery systems, 119 vehicles and fuel tanks. But cross direction still reasonably high. I mean, for 1,050 assaults, 51 assaults is a little higher than what I would have expected. But again, they're going after Pokrovsk. That's going to be the big thing. Russian infantry surrendered after a ground kamikaze blew up their shelter. After the shelter was blown up, Russians took out a banner reading, "We want to surrender." I wonder if that banner was prefab or if they wrote it like just at that moment. But this was the ground drone that was operating, and it went and blew up that shelter. And yeah. Okay. Just other news that I thought was interesting. A British jury convicted 3 men of setting fire to a London warehouse where Ukrainian-bound equipment was being stored. A plot, prosecutors said, was orchestrated by operatives linked to Russian mercenary company Wagner. How about that? And just a little bit more about it. The warehouse in East London was sending Starlink kits to Ukraine. It turns out it wasn't just some random arson. All right, I'll leave you with this. This is Darth Putin. The fact that I launched the largest drone attack of the war yet just shows how much Ukraine doesn't want peace. All right, what do you think of what you saw here? I'm telling you, drones are important. So please watch this video next. And I mean, it'll be very helpful. Thank you for your time, the likes, the shares, and the subscribes. And thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.